Imagine walking through the ruins of ancient Carthage, the sun warming the stones that have witnessed millennia. Archaeologists digging here, amidst the remnants of a once mighty empire, stumbled upon something truly bizarre. Not treasure, not weapons, but rows upon rows of clay amphorae, sealed and buried upright, deep in the earth. This wasn't a wine cellar or an olive oil store. The arrangement was deliberate, almost ceremonial. What were the Carthaginians hiding? The answer, my friends, is stranger than any gold or jewels. When these ancient jars were finally unsealed centuries later, something impossible happened. From the dark, empty interiors, faint sounds began to emerge. Whispers, fragments of conversations, the distant laughter of a child, the sad notes of a forgotten song. It was as if the very air inside these vessels had held its breath for over 2,000 years, preserving the sounds of a lost city. They called it the hollow voice of Carthage. This discovery gave birth to a chilling legend, one whispered by locals and debated by historians. They say the Carthaginians didn't just capture sounds by accident. They believed in a creature, a being that could hunt and trap voices. This entity, sometimes called the echo-collector or the voice thief, was said to consume the spoken word, storing it within these specially prepared amphorae. Why? The reasons are terrifying. According to the stories, this creature would replay the captured voices to serve its own sinister purposes. Imagine you're a traveler, lost in the confusing alleyways of the ancient city after dark. Suddenly you hear a familiar voice call your name. It sounds just like your mother, your brother, a dear friend. You'd follow it, wouldn't you? You'd run towards that sound of comfort and safety, deeper and deeper into the labyrinth. The legend says the creature used these stolen voices as bait, luring unsuspecting people to their doom. It could perfectly mimic a lover's sweet whisper or a child's desperate cry for help, playing on the deepest human emotions to ensnare its victims. The placement of the amphorae is key to this whole mystery. They were buried deep, far deeper than necessary for simple storage. The legend offers a disturbing explanation for this. The creature and its Carthaginian keepers buried them so deep that no one could hear their own voice echoing back from the jars. If you were to shout into the opening of one of these amphorae, the sound would travel down into the earth, but it would never return. The silence would be absolute. This prevented anyone from accidentally discovering the voices trapped within, and perhaps it prevented the voices themselves from ever escaping. It was a one-way prison for sound. So what was this creature? Descriptions are fragmented, pieced together from cryptic texts and oral traditions. Some say it was a formless entity, a shadow that moved through sound waves. Others describe it as a grotesque being with large, funnel-like ears and a mouth that never spoke its own words, only the words it had stolen. It was said to be a guardian of the city, a secret weapon, or perhaps a deity they worshipped with offerings of sound. Think about it, a sacrifice not of blood or gold, but of voices. The first words of a baby, the last words of a dying soldier, the secret confessions of a priest. Each voice a unique essence, captured and stored forever. The Carthaginian priests who supposedly managed this process were known as the silentiari, the keepers of silence. They were the ones who consecrated the amphorae and oversaw the burial rituals. It was their duty to feed the creature and to decide which voices were worthy of being preserved or used. Were they imprisoning a monster, or were they worshipping a god? The line is incredibly blurry. They walked in silence, for fear their own words might be snatched away, communicating through a complex system of hand gestures. Skeptics, of course, have more rational explanations. Some acoustical engineers suggest that the unique shape of the amphorae, combined with the specific clay, and the way they were sealed, could have created a bizarre form of natural sound recording. Changes in temperature and atmospheric pressure over centuries might cause the clay to vibrate, releasing trapped air in a way that mimics sound waves. It's a phenomenon known as acoustic fossilization. It's plausible, but it doesn't quite explain the clarity of the words or the chilling intelligence behind which voices were chosen to be replayed. Could a natural process really create the sound of a specific person calling a specific name? It seems unlikely. And it doesn't explain the sheer terror found in ancient accounts that speak of this phenomenon. Roman soldiers who sacked Carthage wrote of maddening whispers coming from the ground, of hearing the voices of their fallen comrades calling to them from empty ruins, leading them into ambush. They dismissed it as the ghosts of the defeated, but was it something else? Was it the echo collector defending its city one last time with its arsenal of stolen voices? The most terrifying part of this legend is the implication. What happens to a person whose voice is stolen? The old tales say that once your voice was taken, you became a hollow shell. You could still think, feel, and see, but you could never again speak, laugh, or scream. You were trapped in a world of total silence while a fragment of your soul, your voice, was locked away in a clay jar, buried beneath the earth, waiting to be used by a monstrous puppet master. You would become a living ghost, forever unheard. Today, most of these amphorae are gone, either lost to time or secured away in private collections and museum vaults. But the legend persists. Some say the creature was never destroyed, that it merely went into hiding when its home was conquered. They say it still wanders the most desolate and silent places of the world, hungry, listening for new voices to add to its collection. So the next time you're alone and you hear a faint, familiar voice on the wind, you might want to think twice before you answer. It might not be who you think it is. It might be the hollow voice of Carthage calling your name. Thanks for journeying with me into this dark corner of history. If you love diving into strange legends and unsolved mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until then, stay curious.